Once I was asked the question, what is your story of success? And sad enough, I said that I don't have a true story of success yet. Being an English teacher, I saw my students growing, achieving their language goals, changing jobs, getting promoted. And I felt that nothing was changing in my life. I felt that I was stuck in the routine. So I started to question myself, what is success? For some people, success is about money and publicity. For others, it's having a family or speaking English with native speakers. Career, professional growth, starting a business. Goals may be different. But through teaching the English language, I found a similarity between striving for professional success and the process of language learning. So just because I'm a language teacher, let me explain how it works in the process of language learning. In the beginning, many students see their teacher as their role model, as their mentor, as the embodiment of their dream. Just imagine yourself starting to learn English for the first time, consciously. And you see your teacher already speaking it fluently. And you want to get as close as possible to the same level of the language. If only we could imagine the top of the mountain as the biggest goal, and we will always see a person already standing there. For me, as a teacher, it's a great pleasure to see my students climbing this mountain. With great appreciation, I hear them saying, I can't imagine, but I've got A2 for the level of my English test. I can't imagine, but I watched the Barbie movie and I understood everything. I can't imagine, but I was in Dubai and I could make small talks with the locals. Isn't that incredible? First, the small successes give us pleasure and motivation to keep going. But after a few weeks, a month, or a year, it depends on the type of the personality. Every student faces the so-called plateau. You may be wondering what I mean by the plateau. And as a teacher, I can clearly distinguish this stage when I notice my students being late for the class or skipping the class, be doing their homework on the go or skipping their homework. My students say that they have been learning every word every evening. They have been doing every homework, but then they stopped because they found that they don't see much progress. Actually, the process of plateau was first described by Albert Bandura, a Stanford professor in the second half of the 20th century, and he has traced the dependence of the time, the level of the competence, and our expectations that we have in the process of language learning. And the interesting thing he found out is that the process of language learning is not linear. It's okay to have ups and downs, regressions, and the plateau. But he highlights that after the plateau comes the growth. What is happening in reality with my students is that they are still making progress day by day. But the progress is not as vivid as it was in the beginning. They start feeling tricked, that they still can't understand what the native speaker says. They start feeling tricked that they still can't understand something. What is that in the movie? And some people give up. Have you ever had the feeling that you have been working so hard to reach the position at work that you wanted to have, but you see that the progress is too slow and you feel that you're stuck? Have you ever had the feeling that you're in two minds about your career, whether to continue going little by little working on it or just change it completely, change the job or occupation? Going back full circle to what I said at the beginning, I also reached the so-called plateau. And I've devalued everything what I have achieved by that day. Like my students have devalued every result they have achieved in the process of language learning. But looking back, a few years ago, speaking English fluently, traveling around the world a few times a year, speaking English and being an English teacher was only in my dreams. And that's what I call success a few years ago. And that's what I don't call now. So I have decided to discover how can we turn the anxiety or striving for a picture of success into the joy. And I discovered that there is a way how to help my students and me to stop beating ourselves up and get the joy from what we are doing. And the first thing we need to do is to be curious. As simple as that, right? Let me tell you the example. And let me take you back to the summer 2023, when the majority of my students went on their vacations. And I was left without work and an income I was counting on. So I was sitting in front of the computer day by day, staring at it, until I came across one picture. Who can see a black circle on the white? I guess most of you, right? Can you see a white space with a black circle on it, right? Okay, good. So this picture completely shifted my perspective. I thought, what if I don't concentrate on this negative point in my life and this negative circle of the picture? What if I concentrate on the white space around it? What if I take this time that I had and devote it to something new that I wanted always to take up, but I was putting it off, saying that I have no time. I have devoted some of my free time to dancing because I was wondering why so many people are crazy about dancing. And you know what? I was surprised that I fell in love with Latin American dances. And that became my greatest motivation to start learning Spanish. I've also devoted some of my free time to become a student myself. Yes, you heard it right. I wanted to test my theory about the progress and the plateau. And I took up a course of advanced English. And later, I got the chance to take students to teach them advanced English. So if you are stuck in the routine and you feel that you don't progress much, just try to take up something new. Maybe the opportunities are just hiding somewhere there. The next important thing that we need to do is to appreciate every little step we do. Let me take you back again to the same example coming from the summer 2023, when I have decided to devote some of my free time to attendance new for me events, like this public talk conference in July, which highly inspired me. And later, I decided to take up a course of public speaking. I want to be honest with you. I've been always scared of speaking on the stage. At first, I was concentrated on the thought that there is some top of the mountain, which I was not sure whether I would climb it or not, whether I would speak greatly on the stage or not. It made me conscious. It made me anxious. But later, I decided to shift my focus. I started to pay attention to the little steps I make towards climbing this mountain. And I started to feeling joy, not anxiety. So by doing these 2 simple steps, you may reach joy out of what you are doing. Like in my case, just being curious of the English language in my childhood resulted in me becoming a teacher. Me speaking on the stage right now, traveling around the world, and being fluent with native speakers. Keep in mind that every little action creates its own chain reaction of other actions in your life. Moreover, without being curious of the Chinese language, it wouldn't result in me becoming an interpreter of designers at the fashion show. It would have resulted in me going to China and living there for more than 8 months. Without being interested in different countries, would have resulted in me becoming a student of the business negotiations. So, one small step of taking up something new and being curious about something will create a chain reaction of other actions happening in your life. And these are just some of the events that happened to me. And I'm sure there will be more ahead. Maybe for some people, my story will seem not big enough. But from now on, I don't want to devalue any small success in my life. If you are stuck in your routine and you feel that the progress is too slow, just try to find something that will fulfill you, that will drive you, and be consistent with your every little steps that you make towards your dream. Keep in mind that every little step matters.